not going to lie, the decision to let Kenneth Walker hit free agency and go to the Kansas City Chiefs after being Super Bowl MVP, it confuses me a little bit, so let's get into the video. We evaluate running backs. He was a late round guy, which, again, I don't feel like there's any respect in the running back market, no matter how big or productive of a player was. You look at Blake Corum, you look at Jeremiah Love, like, for example, with this draft. Jeremiah Love's going to get a lot of hype, but don't be surprised if he ends up being a day 2 guy, because usually teams don't want to take that risk of having a running back in the first round unless your name is Saquon Barkley, which it makes sense. But I think, or Christian McCaffrey too, because he was a first-round guy. Well, and now that we're talking about it and thinking about it, Derrick Henry as well. But I think I don't know. I don't understand, and I don't get that, like, after all he did for Seattle over the, first 4 seasons that he's been there, but then not only just this season alone on their run to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl MVP. Now, that probably came to just with how dominant the defense was. You couldn't give the MVP to the whole defensive unit. You would have had to pick one player who, but if it's not him, who was really productive in that game, kept drives alive, Kenneth Walker did against the Patriots. That, but then also to add on you got to talk about the 49er game with his 3 touchdown performance. You got to talk about the Rams game, and just kind of, I'm looking at it sort of, I'm gonna mix genres here. Conn Smythe, where the Super Bowl MVP was also an acclamation. I think that's the word I'm trying to use, of like a combination of how he did in the postseason as well versus just, hey, you showed up in Super Bowl biggest stage and you had 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns or something like that. It was an addition of, look at what you did in the divisional, look at what you did in the conference, and then in the Super Bowl, but then also your productivity for the team towards the end of the season as well, because there was a shot where an injury-riddled 49ers team could have won the division, but we saw how the West was won, and it ended up being the Seahawks. But I think it's very, I don't get it. I don't understand why they didn't re-sign him. I'm thinking there was a little bit of a pay difference with, we want to keep, there was a choice between, do we keep JSN, because they've already paid Sam Darnold, they've already paid some of the defensive guys, even though you look at the defensive side of the football too, a lot of the defense guys left and went to other teams. Kind of like how the Eagles defense did after they beat the Chiefs. Some went to the Cardinals, the Colts. They just spread out. They spread the love. But I think there's probably a decision on, do we pay our veteran running back or do we pay our young star that's up and coming, with JSN? And I think they picked the latter there. And I don't know. I think it might not pay dividends for the Seahawks, with that reason being, who's your guy? Who's going to be your back? You're going to have to go draft one, because your other guy tore his ACL and he's not going to return early in this season. If he does return, it's going to be very late. But then you also have the criticism, kind of like NFL fans, of, oh my gosh, we're sick and tired of seeing the Chiefs be so successful. And of all the teams he could have gone to, none of the 31 other teams, including his own, stepped up and said, hey, you know what? Actually, let's go pay this guy so he doesn't go on the Chiefs. Nobody played prevent defense to allow a Super Bowl MVP to join a Super Bowl MVP-led, Patrick Mahomes Chiefs teams. Like, it's funny. It's just so funny. We complain as fans and like, oh my hell, why are the Chiefs so good? And it's like, well, they just got better. Look at that. They added a key piece. Which, don't be surprised either if Jeremiah Love slips and falls in the draft, and then, oh, look at that, there's a day 2 pickup where they have Kenneth Walker and Jeremiah Love in the backfield for the Chiefs, while Justin Fields starts maybe the first 2 or 3 games before Mahomes gets healthy. Like, now they also have to improve defensive side of the football as well, because some pieces left for the Chiefs there, but it's a huge addition and it's a huge pickup. And I think, kind of with how, if you look at the stats and productivity of how productive James Cook was for the Bills, I think any team that picked up Kenneth Walker would have improved tremendously. I think he was a workhorse, and there was a lot that he, shouldered for the Seahawks in their run to the Super Bowl. And I think he's up there in conversations with like CMC and Derrick Henry on like utility, how much he was a utility to that offense. Because, 49er fans, you know this all too well. CMC was not that effective running the ball. But catching it, screen pass out of the backfield, super productive. Look at the Eagles game in the divisional round. So, no, wild card, my bad. But anyways, that's enough of me rambling. Unfortunately, the running back is a forgotten staple in the NFL, and hopefully, it can come back to be. Because let me be real. Do I think any running back is going to get paid what JSN just got paid? Hell no. Absolutely not. There's no freaking way. We've seen it especially with the last two Super Bowl winners. And you can kind of throw the Chiefs in there as well with Pacheco. But if you have a very solid, competent, athletic running back that can just bring a little bit of juice and a little bit of extra oomph to your offense, you compete. You compete for Super Bowls. You can win Super Bowls. But anyways, guys, that's just my thoughts. I thank you for listening to me ramble this much. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.